It was one of those that, you know how people used to record VHSs and keep it on there? Like you keep a movie watched on HBO. My parents were nutso about it, and we got a DVD burner. So like you could record and burn it on the DVD, and they're like, shit, we got Mr. Brooks. Look out. And it's like, this just like $2 DVD with Sharpie on it. And you're like, sick.
Welcome to the Rewatchers on the Pod, the podcast where we watch stuff and then talk about it. You're here with me, Tyler Harris, and
Tyler McKinley.
Justin Hammer.
And we have two special guests with us this week. The first of which chose our movie this week, Robot Jox. Søren Budge, how you doing?
Hi, I'm Søren.
Is that how you're doing, or were you just restating?
I wanted to make sure.
Okay. And then our second guest is Nick Grossaint.
Oh, hey, everybody.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, gang.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks.
We know that everyone listening to this has already seen Robot Jox, but just in case one of you slipped past and found yourself in the middle of this podcast...
We're paying attention last Oscar season.
Yes, last season when it was finally given its due. I'm going to go ahead and summarize every single event that happened in Robot Jox. This is the first time I've done this. Tyler McKinley wrote the summary, and I have not read it, and I'm about to read it.
Just one step closer to us becoming one Tyler.
Yes. Eventually, it will just be us sitting in silence for an hour every week. What a world. Here we go. 50 years since nuclear holocaust. War is now legal thanks to nuclear war. Society now holds robot fights to fulfill our insatiable bloodlust. America loses to Russia because they didn't put his boy in the game, coach. The boy is Taekwondo. The other students wish they were Taekwondo. A girl is mostly Taekwondo and good looking enough to discuss how hot she is with your dad. See what you're saying. The government needs the DNA of the boy. He wants to make sure you know that we are watching a movie from the 90s. Everyone in America naturally has Greek mythology names. The boy's name is Achilles. Alexander of Russia wants to fight Achilles. It's bad luck to say good luck, but not to tell someone about to pilot a giant robot to crash and burn. The arena for robot fights has poor safety standards. The jocks exchange missile shots and giant robot foreplay. Things heat up as lasers are exchanged. Turns out the arena has a pretty good safety standards. Look like you have to go man to man. Achilles falls down. Through the sheer will of cowboy dad coach, he gets up only to get knocked back down again onto the crowd of innocent people. Turns out the arena actually has shit safety standards. Who knew? Lots of people are dead. For the good of the media, the refs call the fight a draw. Achilles say he won't fight in the rematch a week from now, and Alexander is pissed. Achilles can't read, but don't you dare call him dumb. His manager says he hasn't fulfilled his contract of 10 fights. Achilles is drunk beyond service, but is given a drink anyway. The Taekwondo twins don't care for the lives of spectators. Alexander flexes on Team America. Athena takes advantage of a drunk, blacked-out Achilles to get some of her anatomy homework done. Achilles is so hungover. Achilles might be going commando under that jumpsuit this whole movie. It's like good. I didn't think about that. Athena thinks he is unremarkable, probably because he and his dad are totally respectful of women. Achilles gives Athena a present as he clears out his locker for retirement. Achilles drives Elon Musk's newest idea home. Apparently, Achilles can read after all because he's offended by some graffiti. Achilles visits his brother's family and reveals his real name is Uncle Jim. Crank callers are aggressive in the future. His sister-in-law serves the family one weenie. Achilles' potential replacements have to climb Willy Wonka's jungle gym in some Ender's Game bullshit. This decides the new American Robot Jox. Let's see what he did there. Athena is selected as the new pilot. The idea of a woman representing America in a robot fight disgusts Uncle Jim so much that he says he'll come back for the Alexander fight, or he loves her or something. Surprised, Cowboy Coach is not only sexist, he's racist too. Athena is pissed. Alexander is pleased. Cowboy Coach confronts the Dr. Scientist. Turns out he has dirt on Cece and knows he's a Russian spy. He pulls a gun on him, but he totally sucks at gun. Tex is good at gun and takes it from him. He can't decide who he wants dead. Eventually he decides the doctor should die. Athena baits Achilles with the thoughts of sexual exploration, then shoots him into with a glue gun. It's sedative glue to knock him out so he can't fight. They taekwondo, but they have very different ideas on what that means. Achilles is out cold while Athena dresses him to enter the fight in his place. They find out it's not Achilles because of a butt slap. When confronted, she taekwondos. She starts takeoff procedures. Achilles comes to and can't escape his movie set. He calls his Tesla to Kool-Aid Man him out of there. Words of barriers can't stop Athena. Achilles arrives at HQ and is really behind. Athena gets the weapon briefing that Matsumoto pre-recorded for some reason. As he died, he was able to edit in the footage of Tex killing him. Tex jumps to his death. Achilles and the Nameless Guard share a moment. Athena and Alexander's fight starts. She blinds him, but he's got her on her back. Athena whips out the saw and cuts his arm off. But look out, Alexander is hitting her with the old shaky wrist. It's super effective. So effective, she's about to die. The refs stop him. Achilles can tell really loud and promises to kick Alexander's ass. Achilles takes advantage of an injured woman before being stopped by the medics. Screw the government, we want a robot battle. Achilles mans his robot and flies into the air. Oh shit, the fight is happening in outer space. Alexander sweeps the leg like any good villain. You could say that this was his Achilles heel because this sends him crashing down to earth. Achilles transforms into a dog on the carpet mode and scoots around Alexander's shots. Achilles shoots him in the robot knee and then the robot balls. The robot! It shoots him in the knee and then the robot balls. Alexander whips out his chainsaw dick and fucks his Rob out in the face. Achilles exits his robot, pulls a Luke Skywalker versus AT-AT, but then decides against it. He runs for Alexander's severed arm. He hotwires the arm to rocket punch Alexander. This explodes the entire robot. It's man-on-man action with pipes. Now they're just jocks. Alexander has him on the ropes, but Achilles comes in with a mean left hook. The philosophy of life and death is discussed, and just like the Greek tale of old, Achilles conquers his foe with a thumbs-up fist bump combo. The end. Crash and burn forever. Wow, a lot happens in that movie.
You did a good job reading that blindly. Very fast.
Wow, that's, yeah. More Taekwondo than I remember, even. But there is a lot of it. Soren, you brought us this absolute gem.
You're welcome.
Why?
Because it's a masterpiece and it's fun to watch and talk about. Robot Jox is near and dear to my heart. He ain't good looking, but god damn it, he's got soul. And I love him.
That's a good enough reason for me. Let's talk about the world of Robot Jox. One not unlike our own. I mean, this was made in 1990. I feel like it has a pretty good grasp on where we're headed, at least. Is there a year given in this movie? 2050? Is this?
The year of Tex's last fight was 2071.
Oh, okay. So
that seems to be sometime in the past.
Right.
So
yeah, I would imagine. Based on what we see of Tex in this movie. But yeah, so I just want to talk about maybe some of the things that they aren't like major plot points, but just the world around Robot Jock battles. All right, it's fascinating to me.
Some base ground. So Robot Jox is science fiction satire in the tradition of RoboCop.
Okay, fair enough.
And so it's designed as an exaggeration of some aspects of the society of the time that the makers were a part of. So that's late 80s America. And this is where the co-writer, director Stuart Gordon sees things headed or sees where things are currently in 1988-89, blown up to cartoon proportions.
Right.
Which means the government wants people to make a lot of babies, so all of the advertisements are that are plastered on billboards and walls and stuff in the world of Robot Jox are for prenatal vitamins.
Just trying to do our part.
Just trying to do our part. These sexy pregnant ladies.
That was like, I think that didn't really click with me at first. I was just like, oh, there's like prenatal. And then I saw the same poster later and I was like, maybe the art department budget was like, man, you just got to reuse. And then the next poster you see is just a woman holding a flag and like in a sports bra and just pregnant. And I was like, oh no, okay, I get it. I get what is happening, sort of.
Having 6 kids gets you a 3rd bedroom, so
which is important. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole office.
Yeah,
you can have an office at that point for your reading business.
While all your 6 children sleep in the 1 bedroom.
Exactly. Priorities. It's all about, building a space that you can provide for your family.
So 50 years ago, there was a nuclear war that killed most people and ruined the planet. And now war has been outlawed, according to the prologue.
Which, okay, hold on, real quick. Why the fuck have we not outlawed war?
I know, right?
I'm writing a letter to my congressman now.
Our
I
Constitution
texted him 2 hours ago.
I was watching Robot Jox.
why does the Constitution still allow for war?
I mean, hot take here.
I know the prison system is overburdened as it is, but
Oh,
come
speaking
on.
of which, there's another Stuart Gordon movie for that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We'll talk in recommendations.
I'm excited.
So instead, all international conflicts are what word am I looking for? Settled in individual combat.
Yeah, which it seems like a lot of those conflicts are basically just over land.
Mostly,
right?
yeah.
It's like a giant game of Risk, but it was bizarre because it's like if you want to invade someone, you just challenge them to a robot fight over Alaska. Is that the concept?
Yeah.
Alaska it's just constantly going back and forth. We're just always trading that one back and forth because, why risk anything else?
Well, for money, Tyler. You may not have noticed the left-leaning morals of this movie.
Oh, God. This... yeah.
I don't know what I was saying. Yeah, the United States equivalent in this movie is called the Market, so that ain't subtle.
And the Confederation.
The Confederation is the Russians.
Oh, the Russians? Is that who they were supposed to? I was wondering this whole time. No, it definitely doesn't go subtle on that.
Yeah, I guess Cold War imperialism continued to the point that there's only capitalists and communists.
Right.
And that's it. And they fight in robot wars.
Which doesn't sound that bad, honestly.
It doesn't. So you can kind of see why they did it. But because it's a capitalist venture, hundreds of people are still getting killed by it.
Yeah. Oh,
and
my
it's
God.
the homeless.
Yeah. So let's talk about our hero Achilles.
Uncle Jim.
Uncle Jim. I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to call him that. Like, I still see him as, this.
He's like my uncle.
He's exactly like my uncle, who also makes me call him Achilles.
Yeah.
But that's for a totally different reason.
He's the Market's uncle.
He's just uncle, like all caps.
Uncle Jim.
So I will say this movie, at the top, the introduction to one of the first things we see is Achilles with Tex, who immediately is just this big man with a cowboy hat, of course, which I'm glad to see that survives, however long into the future this is. And just the most, stereotypical... I mean, exactly what I'd imagine if someone told me that they had a friend named Tex.
I mean, I don't watch as much WWE as you do.
True.
The announcer for the infamous... the throwing off the Hell in a Cell.
Yes, the hell. Yeah. Yes. Oh
the announcer of that is who.
Yeah,
I thought it was at first.
Yeah, in the credits just said "Hell in a Cell" guy. This guy who yelled a lot during that. But yeah, so that whole first conflict that does lead to the tragedy. It's what do they call it? They say it's the most tragic event that's happened at a Robot Jox fight, right? That's what they say. I'm trying to remember what they term it. Anyways.
There aren't the words to describe this tragedy. The announcer was just a treasure.
I think they called it the squishioning.
Yes, that was it. Yeah, I forgot. I will say at that point, I was in the movie. I was not prepared to see what I saw for as long as I saw it.
And that's where the RoboCop thing comes in.
For sure.
Like in RoboCop, where up until the Ed 209 does his thing, you're like, oh, it's this goofy robot movie. And in this one, it's the same thing where you think it's totally like jingoistic, yeah, let's watch robots punch each other in the face. I'm down for 90 minutes of that. And then one of the robots tips over and kills 300 civilians. And he gets out of the robot and has to just sit in it while like these children pull away stumps after their limbs have been squished.
Oh my gosh. And the even like the news, it cuts to just a man, just completely disfigured face. Like it really is so incredibly jarring at that moment. And it's like one of those movies like, oh shit, I didn't expect that. And then it goes into stuff that I absolutely 100% expected again, which is really interesting.
Like the whole Tubi's subplot is that.
Right.
This movie was made by Empire International Pictures, who made the best B movies of the 80s. They never had money. And the budgetary restrictions really show in the dialogue scenes of this movie. You can tell that their priority was on the robots because they look really good for their time. Like, if you compare the robots in Robot Jox to any other stop-motion effect in late 80s, early 90s, it's really smooth. And, like, they blend it with like, miniatures and guy in a costume type effects that's fairly seamless. But then the dialogue scenes will be shot in just one long take from the side because they can't afford to stop and do another take. Because all the money went into the robot fights.
Yeah. Which does show, like, they are really fun to watch. Like, those are the parts of this movie I definitely had the most fun with, was just seeing those things on screen. And, like, there are those moments in this where it's like, it's so cheesy, like that when Athena is in the robot and getting punched repeatedly by that just
shake weight of an arm.
Yes.
Yes.
The stop hitting yourself device, I believe.
Yeah. Like, it's so ridiculous, but it's still so fun to watch. Like, there's something about that all just like working that way that it really is really.
Everyone around then was that was in the 90s. Everyone started using crappy CGI for that, like really bad CGI for anything like that, and so that probably looks better than most of the stuff that was coming out around that time of similar genre.
Hot take: I would much rather watch this than Pacific Rim.
That's
a very hot take.
It's pretty hot.
I mean, the dialogue sequences are probably on the same like quality.
I will say I did enjoy not having to listen to Charlie Hunnam sort of do an American accent.
Fuck that guy.
And there's just
I hate that guy so much.
Within reason. I mean, that's not a bad take.
I can see you searching for like.
Trying to remember what he said in that interview that made me hate him, but I'll have to just Google Charlie Hunnam piece of shit when I get home.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like this. And Nick, you kind of mentioned this, like you mentioned mech anime and stuff.
Oh yeah,
there is the moment where she puts it into manual, and I mean, you called that.
Oh yeah, Evangelion is based on Robot Jox.
Oh my gosh, it totally is. This idea that they have full control over the robot, but can deny the people in the tower. That whole idea of the tower, like these people in command, and then they abandon it for the last like 15 minutes of the movie. They bring it up that they're like, oh, you think this takes one person to operate? We got a whole team of people. People are like blown away. They're like, wow, look at the command room. Gone. Not needed. Not today.
It's like no one has ever been standing on that elevator and just lifted their arms up with the robot to climb out of there. It's like, you see, if we don't push that elevator up, they can't do anything. There is nothing that these guys can do.
All right, the robot that later flies into space is stopped by a halted elevator.
Why didn't she just give it a little spurt there?
Because she didn't have the experience, Tyler.
That's true. We do learn that.
We're talking now about Athena, the first woman robot jock, and also the first to-be robot jock.
Right,
the first genetically engineered test tube child to fight in the games.
Now, okay, I've got a question about that. This might be a controversial question. If you're genetically engineering children who you are gonna have grow up to be robot jocks, and one of them is a woman, like, wouldn't you still be like, she's been genetically engineered, like she's literally built for this, but everyone is still very pissed off?
No.
that a woman.
Only Achilles and Tex are pissed off.
That's true.
We don't see anyone else.
What's the older woman's name? Her
I
reaction
don't know.
shots are my favorite.
Margaret Atwood.
Yes. She just reminded me of Tenenbaum from BioShock, like the little sister. Like, she's like the Tubi's mom. And man, anytime they cut to her reaction while Athena was in that
she's
cockpit,
so disappointed.
Yeah. She's supposed to obey everything I say. But yeah, this, oh man.
Yeah, she's representational of the Catholic Church in the 80s.
Yes.
Metaphor.
Iron Fist of religion.
I want to know if there is ever an instance where it's okay to like hit your semen test tube sample cup, like cheers with somebody else, like clink your sample cup with another person. Is that ever okay?
I think it was okay in this case.
I mean, when I go on Saturdays with my friends down, we always clink before we go in. But never when we come out. We don't want to disrupt the sample.
You don't want to get them too turned around. Like, don't disorient them at all. That's totally invalid.
Heaven forbid you cocktail it.
I guess maybe this is the time where we should mention that Uncle Jim is a bit of a creep to the women.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely.
Uncle Jim, yes. Is a bit of a creep. Shocker.
He does request to make, and I quote, a direct deposit of his genetic material.
As he nods back towards the only woman in the room.
Oh, man. I do love that, like, it's just basically I was just riding the wave scene to scene to see where their relationship was. I wasn't sure where she stood until she would either, like, give him the go-ahead. I don't know. It was such a bizarre...
But, like, the two times that they kiss, the first time is a tactic so that she can get close enough to kick his groin.
Right, very good.
The second time, she is semi-conscious, stuck in a robot. I'm not sure that there's any... investment from her side in this relationship.
No.
Well, apparently when you're growing a test tube, all human emotions just sucked right out of you. You got nothing.
Of course, yeah.
You don't feel anything, to the point where, bodily autonomy doesn't really matter because you don't have any intentions there. You just want to see someone's naked body to learn about it.
Yeah. And to remark on how unremarkable it is.
Yeah.
At some point as well, too.
Gosh. Just sounds like all the guys at our apartment complex in college.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But did they live in a bedroom made of canvas panels and balsa wood?
Probably. I mean, we didn't live in the best of places. Now, we never had any fights, so we never discovered what the actual wall material was.
The canvas panels with lights behind them, very convincing sci-fi wall look until you punch them, apparently.
Yeah.
And then... poor combination of set design and action of the script, but I adore that set anyway because the scrappy stick-to-itiveness of the set designers and builders.
Yeah, let's talk about the production design a little bit because we've talked about it a little bit with the robots. Like, those miniatures look really cool, and like those fight sequences are really cool. I think the rest of it is still really intriguing. Like, it all works. Like, it's not like, it doesn't feel like there's stuff that sticks out to me as like bad choices. Like, it feels like a pretty cohesive vision across it. It's just so bizarre and like so specific. Like, you were mentioning just on their suits, just the VCR cables that are plugged into like things on
bless their hearts.
Which is that's delightful to me. Like, that to me, like, feels like something I could actually do. Maybe that's why I like it. You know what I mean? And not to say that it's because it's shitty, but just because it's like,
but because it's shitty.
It's exactly.
I feel like the hockey pad manufacturers were kept afloat by 80s sci-fi films.
Yes.
They were the ones making all the purchases.
And the silver bodysuit market also.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of which, Achilles' bodysuit that had the Market Games logo hot glued to the front of it, and like his lanyards would like fall behind it sometimes.
Because the edges weren't glued
Yeah,
down. Like,
yeah.
Oh,
God
gosh.
bless them.
Amazing.
Oh man. Yeah. I feel like so much of that, even like, I mean, we talked about his car, even like, which luckily we have a reference point now. It's just a Tesla car.
It's a
Cybertruck
It's a Tesla Cybertruck. Yeah. Which he uses that automated driving feature in a way that I'm sure Tesla would not approve of. But
If Elon watches this movie, he's going to put like collision detectors for buildings in there specifically for if that happens.
but yeah, I mean, when you gotta get out of your room within a room, and
Maybe
you've got
that's
that
like-
option, you'd be crazy.
That's like the secret mode of the Teslas, the Kool-Aid Man mode. You
Yeah.
can actually enable that if you're ever in that situation.
If you're ever using Elon Musk's loop under Los Angeles and you need to get out,
Yeah, if you're stuck on the Hyperloop, there is an escape function. It's hidden at the bottom of the menu though, so there's no way you'll accidentally use it. But yeah, let's. I mean, what are your guys' impressions? Like, what are some other major things you want to talk about with this movie? There's just so much.
the
There's a lot.
the jingoistic right-wing ideologue turns out to be a Russian spy.
Right?
Anything in that?
Yeah. No, for sure.
Oddly pertinent to our time.
Nothing relevant. Nothing.
Not ringing any bells. I would say that scene where he kills Matsumoto is like probably one of my favorite scenes in this movie.
Oh, the scene with like the 3 twists in it.
Yes, and like. I mean, it all starts with him disarming Matsumoto with his hat, which we learn is not a fashion choice, but a tactical choice this man makes every day in case he is confronted with a gun, which I have to assume has been outlawed. I mean, you're not going to run into it in your normal day-to-day. But
I don't know, 2 people have guns in this movie.
yeah,
I think it's still a
and then
thing.
all the guards. I mean, all the guards have all the black suited. I don't even know what they are.
They're
Black
the guards.
suits.
They're the stormtroopers from Spaceballs.
They're the
That's right.
That might be.
That's right.
I'm pretty sure those helmets were just taken over from that set.
They
probably.
do. Yeah, no, they do look almost exactly like that. But yeah, that to then the idea that when you're in a situation where you are then the person with the gun, that you're going to commit to the theatrics of convincing the other person you're about to kill yourself before immediately killing them.
In case he was going to block it. You don't know.
Maybe he has a hat hidden under his desk that he's ready to pull out.
He probably had some of the glass from the stadium that could have deflected the laser. Probably could have also
Yeah.
got some of the bullet out of there.
Well, I mean, let's talk about Tex. What is Tex if not theatrical?
That's true.
He's this big man. Everyone else, all the other fighters that we see are wearing like these sci-fi silver bodysuits, but Tex wears like a Roy Rogers costume.
Yes.
He's got like a red Western cut shirt and a big white cowboy hat. Speaks with an accent that cannot exist in a post-nuclear world.
That also, you look at the character of Tex, that also has to be a conscious choice.
Absolutely.
Well,
There's no
where
way.
was this filmed, though, right? It was filmed in Italy? This is
it
the
was-
spaghetti western? It's just left over from the spaghetti western. They just recycled everything from there.
I mean,
Like, what costumes do we have?
We got this.
that actor was scheduled for two westerns on either side of filming this.
That actor being great value John Goodman.
Yes.
John Badman.
Badman. Oh my god. Yeah. So man, what a fascinating character
I love
Tex
Tex.
Conway is. Yeah.
Tex, spoilers, does jump out a window.
Is it a window or is it more just a giant hole in the wall?
It's a hole from the foot getting in there. Yeah, it was a foothold.
Yeah.
He jumps from a great height. What are the words he says? someone says,
I'll see you hang for this.
I'll see you hang for this. And he says, no, sir, I'll see you in hell. And runs out of the room and jumps to his death.
Then there's this awkward, are they going to kiss moment between freaking Achilles and the guard as they're looking down at his body. That guard's just locking eye contact with him that whole time.
Yeah.
I felt uncomfortable.
I will say, when those guards come in that moment, after they've just watched Tex Conway murder Matsumoto, and one of the guards just goes, Tex Conway? Holy, oh my, I have his baseball card in my pocket right now. Like, it's so
All right,
incredible.
right, because Tex Conway was a robot jock in the undisclosed past.
Right.
Who cheated in his final match.
Yeah.
And when he's discussing it, he attributes it to dumb luck, which is one of the themes of this movie, is that victory in conflict ultimately comes down to just being the guy who won. There's no skill or necessary right to it. It's all dumb luck. Which...
Have you seen the Mighty Ducks? I mean,
That's what I say every time I start to play Counter-Strike Source. It's luck, and I'm going to win.
There's no skill involved.
Man, everyone is so much luckier than I am.
You may think you've got the upper hand, Vegeta Weedlord 420, but experience is a factor. But luck is what makes it.
the post-match
Luck breeds
post-match
results.
comment section is a ride with you.
According to my mentor, Dr. Matsumoto.
Oh man, yeah, what a delightful thing. I want to talk about the referees really quick.
Yes, I think they're tubies because they just seem so like. Is that okay for me to say? Is that kosher?
Yeah, I think
it's fine,
so.
it's fine.
As long as you don't say it like this. Tubies. I think you're
Goddamn
fine.
tubies.
God damn.
I'll never fight Tubi.
I'm using the T word in the respectful manner here.
Yes.
Because they are so emotionless and like just seem so robotic in themselves.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if there's a deeper metaphor there, other than refs are soulless pieces of shit. But
Well, I think that they're nonpartisan. I think they're bred like the Swiss Guard, where they don't have an allegiance.
Yeah. I mean, they do. They have to believe in some higher sense of justice or whatever, because they do fly out on just that open-topped floating spaceship with vacuum tubes over each shoulder,
Yes.
tied to the ground. Like, you don't do that unless you believe in
The
what you're
referees are
doing.
lawful neutral, I think.
Yes, there you go. Yeah. But man, do they? So I might have just missed this, but do they explain much about like that body at all? About like the like who
Not
they are, what
not a
they're-
word.
Okay, I assume that's covered in the unofficial sequel. Crash and Burn.
I have never seen Crash and Burn.
We're gonna soon.
For the
We have to
listener,
soon.
there's an unrelated robot fighting post-apocalypse film that uses the catchphrase from this film, Crash and Burn. Is called Crash and Burn. I think that the makers of this film sued. I don't know that for sure. This is the movie that killed Empire International Pictures.
Robot Jox is?
Yes, they were in production on one film when Robot Jox came out. It cost so much money and failed so hard that was their final film.
Oh my god!
And what a way to go.
Yeah, though, it is their best.
What are some of the other? Are there any other Empire that we recognize at all? Or is it like
They made a movie called Eliminators, which
okay?
begins as a Terminator ripoff, in which a mandroid is sent back from the future to take over ancient Rome, but ends up in the 1980s instead. Is found by a scientist who wants to take it to her father's laboratory in the Amazon. So she hires a boat captain. This is 10 minutes in, and from that point on, the movie is a romancing the stone type adventure film between the ship captain and the lady scientist, where they're shipping the mandroid.
How do you backseat the time-traveling mandroid? Oh, man.
Empire International Pictures made director Stuart Gordon's most famous film from his parallel career, which is H.P. Lovecraft's The Reanimator.
Right.
Stuart Gordon made Robot Jox after his much, much more famous and successful films, Reanimator and From Beyond, which were both based on H.P. Lovecraft stories. And that's what he's famous for. He came back in the early 2000s to make a movie called Dagon, which is based on the Lovecraft story, not Dagon, Shadow over Innsmouth. Okay. But he had a much less famous career, which is what I love him for, where he made socially conscious sci-fi movies. He made Robot Jox and one called Fortress, starring Christopher Lambert, which is also delightful, which what Robot Jox is for the military-industrial complex, Fortress is for the private prison industry.
With robots?
There are some robots.
Nice.
It's more. It's got Red Foreman from that '70s show playing a sex-crazed cyborg who has no genitals.
Say no more. Holy shit. That sounds incredible. That sounds
It's
great.
wonderful.
Well, that's man. I don't even know this. Seriously, this movie is so all over the place, and it's such a I love it. I really love this movie for
I'm
what it is.
in love
it
with
is-
this movie. I am married to this movie.
This we actually made that official right before this podcast.
Yeah. We brought in a pastor,
a
robot
pastor.
pastor.
a robot
Thank
pastor.
you, thank you.
He recited the film's final lines. We can live. We can
Can we
live.
please talk about that ending
Yes.
sequence?
Yeah, let's talk about that entire fight. Yeah, please. What?
Well, I mean,
What is your impressions of that?
I mean, yeah, Athena just hijacks the machine after drugging Achilles.
with a glue gun.
Which is supposed to sedate him for 3 hours, and
It did not work.
did not work at all. Yeah, that was.
I mean, he's probably into some pretty kinky stuff. He's built up a tolerance to that. Anyway, she hijacks the robot. She gets her ass kicked by the shake weight arm. And then he comes in.
He does a hashtag #MeToo kiss.
Yeah, CPRs.
Yeah.
Takes advantage of that moment.
Jeez.
And then kicks her out. And he is only stopped by going any further by some medics that come in.
Yeah.
And kind of tap him on the shoulder while he's
Hey, sir.
devouring her face. Anyway, he starts piloting the robot and immediately launches himself into outer space,
Which we do not know at this point in the
yeah.
movie is even a possibility.
He's just showing off. Never mind. Boom. Space time.
Okay, but outside of 2001: A Space Odyssey, maybe the most realistic depiction of space physics. There's no sound. Definitely not a cost-cutting measure.
But then
Yes, absolutely.
Alexander, follows him into space. They kind of drift around for a bit before Alexander shoots him in the foot. And that's all. That's all that happens out
Important
there
Detail, yeah. And then they land. He does fly, and then they land
in the
right
exact
back.
same battlefield.
Yeah.
He carefully maneuvers his fall.
They would have had to orbit around the entire Earth, I believe, because they were going around pretty far. So they would have had to go all the way around, crash back in the exact same spot, and then then he goes into butt mode where the dog is dragging his butt on the carpet, and he's doing that around dodging bullets, shoots him in the balls.
Which is a good tactic. You should always try it. You should that should be a tactic that if you got no other ideas, go for it.
As we learned from Transformers 2: Revenge of the Fallen, giant robots have testicles.
Yeah, do it. Punch him. Shoot him.
At what point in the
it's all
fight
fine.
did the chainsaw come out of?
Well, we're talking about Russia here, who's always one step ahead in the Cold War. And that was just the natural next step that, I'm sure the President of the United States was giving speeches about chainsaw dicks at that point. But Russia beat us to it. And
Yeah, but ours were just theoretical. We didn't even put it into prototype phase. And here they are.
Einstein did theorize that someday there could be a chainsaw dick.
in the year 3000, chainsaw dicks. They're here. Man, he was right all along.
but yeah, then he literally saws his cockpit right in half.
I was gonna say there is a strange irony to that of using a chainsaw dick to cut open the cockpit. Like
Yeah.
that's
The cockpit.
yes, that's where it goes. I mean, yeah. What else?
I'm
is
sure
that,
there's
what else
some-
is that chainsaw
It's
dick
like
gonna be used
poetry. It
for?
rhymes.
There's some parallel between this, like, hey, make babies message of this government and this chainsaw dick, I think.
The dick that kills.
Anyway, so
Wasn't that the working title of this movie?
Yeah, it's called Robot Jox: the dick that kills.
but it's spelled out colon.
Yes.
Too real. Wait, what is it, Sword?
What? Oh, the tagline of Robot Jox is 2 men, 2 machines, 2 wild.
I thought those were the actors' names.
Starring 2 wild as text.
That's the name he used when he was working on Italian pictures. Was just too wild.
So Achilles gets out of his robot because it's been disabled, and Alexander's still trying to kill him.
Yes.
I was just trying to get us back on track.
Yes. I do want to say. I mean, after he does get out, he then climbs onto the robot leg for a split second.
I was so excited. I was like, this is it. He's going to climb up. He's going to David and Goliath him.
Yes.
He's just going to put like a mine on, and then, no, it's over.
He's like, oh, this was a bad idea. It's like, this was my stopgap until I saw a better thing. And he drops off, very conscientiously runs serpentine to avoid any machine gun fire that's happening.
Rick on Star can take some notes there.
Yes.
R.I.P. Rick I.P.
But then he gets to the arm and he
Yes.
proceeds to pull the panels up, and so it's hot wiring the severed arm. Which, who knows where that shit's getting power from at this point. And he finally hot wires it, launches the fist off of it, to then apparently that's all you got to do.
Just fucking
one
done, yeah.
one punch will explode a Russian model robot.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's talk about the poetic nature of that. Of using the weapon that caused the greatest tragedy in Robot Jox fighting history to then possibly end Robot Jock fighting forever, maybe?
Yeah, that is the implication. This is a script writing device called Chekhov's shake weight arm.
Yes. Made famous by Chekhov.
It was in the Seagull.
There's a shake whining mark. Can't even say it.
In Uncle Vanya, there's famously Vanya has a shake weight robot arm hanging on his wall in Act 1.
I'm really nervous about the arm on the wall.
That arm's got to come off the wall and do a little shake weight pump sometime before the end of the play.
Get her out of there! It's killing her! It's killing her!
Oh man, I really hope Detectives just to put her like far enough underground that she can't do anything. Like what a great weapon. But yeah, that just launching that, and then we have the real fight.
Oh man, yeah. Somehow he survives that explosion. Alexander does.
Yes.
And then he just comes at him, man-on-man action. And they get poles from somewhere. There's a lot of poles, I guess, in robot architecture.
Yeah.
Like street sign posts.
Right.
And they battle it out with their poles. And it's
Alexander has found one that works as a sort of a makeshift axe. It's got like a blade on it.
Yep.
And Tyler could we act out the final 3 lines of the film?
Yeah, if I can remember them. Who do you want to be?
I'll be Alexander.
Okay, yeah.
Achilles has thrown away his pole. He refuses to fight any longer. Alexander lost his. He's picked up a rock. And Alexander looks at him ruefully and he says,
"We can live."
"We're dead. We're Robot Jox."
"We can live."
And at that point, a tear forms in my eye. And Achilles puts his thumb up in the beginning of what we've seen throughout as the crash and burn handshake. A greeting only exchanged between Robot Jox.
Yeah.
And
Handshakes for everyone else.
And he puts his arm out. And Alexander, his eyes get misty. And he throws away his rock and puts his thumb up. And they fist bump. And the music swells. Roll credits.
The credits roll.
Like, this man is addicted to murdering people. Yeah. Has murdered several people. And at this point has gone against the rules of his government and the intermediary ref government. And they're just going to let it slide, I guess.
Oh, well, we don't know that. We've gotten out as soon as the thematic story comes to its end. That's what's important to us, the audience. We've seen that he had a change of heart and that we can choose not to fight each other.
I think it's interesting because earlier, both sides are begging them to stop fighting each other after
they will not.
Yeah, and the one guy's like, "Great job, Achilles, we're done." He's like, "I'm not done."
But they both learn a lesson.
Yes, yeah.
In the next 15 minutes.
Yeah, which is good because they're both probably going to face some kind of council or something.
Oh, Alexander absolutely is going to be put to death.
Yeah. Well, hopefully by being stepped on by a giant robot of some kind.
We saw the rest of the Confederation fighters in the bar, the bar that they have apparently in this Death Valley fighting station where everyone lives.
You should let all of both sides get drunk together.
Yeah,
that's the way.
And the Confederation fighters did look identical, which maybe is a clue.
I thought they were tubies. I thought I was like, the Russian, they already got tubies. Of course.
Which maybe is true. Is like Tubi Mama, Margaret Atwood, said that they were working, that the Confederation was working on tubies. But also, Alexander looks down on the tubies. Which now we've established that that's a slur, but it feels so much better to me than test tube babies.
Yeah. Yeah, it at least feels less clinical. I don't know.
CRISPR kids.
CRISPR kids. You know, the Crispies.
Oh, man.
Where are we?
I mean, we could probably talk about this movie for hours, because there are so many, things that, I'm trying to think. I know I had some notes written down. The whole walk of Athena wearing Achilles' uniform and just getting all the way on to the giant robot without anyone noticing until the guy slaps her butt, and that's the moment that everybody's like, "Oh shit!"
Because the guy always slaps Achilles' butt, and that she's bothered by it is the giveaway.
That's not Achilles.
Achilles always loves my spanks.
I was taking notes all the time. I didn't see that was the reason. I just saw the butt slap, so I was like, he just knew by the feel of the slap that it wasn't him. I know those cheeks.
Wait a minute.
How they reverberate, the ripple.
This butt had a perfection not possible in natural births.
That's a tubi ass.
Oh man, yeah, that stuff is so good. Let's talk real quick about the test to become the next fighter for the market.
The shake test.
Yes. Wait, the shake test.
They called it the shake test.
Oh, did they call it that? Okay,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. He calls it the Rumble Room at some point or something like that.
It's like Chuck E. Cheese for adults.
Yeah. I will say, just there was one point in that where there was a bar on the far right of the screen, and it was shaking so much. I at first thought that the frame was shaking out of the aspect ratio, and I was like, "Holy shit! What a choice to make in this movie is to shake the frame as if the entire movie is gonna fall out of the TV that it's playing on." But then, unfortunately, it was just the bar
That would be
framed on the right end.
beautiful, bold choice.
Oh my gosh.
For the listener, to decide which Tubi gets to be the next champion of the market, they make them climb an upside-down jungle gym and get out of a hole in the ceiling.
That's booby trapped.
That's booby trapped.
Oh, so many beautiful booby traps.
There's a burn one where some of the bars burn your hands.
Grease. So much grease
There's one that
spills out.
squirts a little bit of motor oil.
Just on like 2 holes on the top.
One of them just straight up disappears.
Yeah,
It slides
that guy
into-
falls and presumably is done. Just forever.
I think the implication was he's dead.
Yeah.
The oil one, I was surprised it didn't make a little slide whistle noise.
Oh no.
I just don't know. That's what means you're ready to pilot the giant robot.
Yeah. Tubi Athena climbs out of the hole. The first woman robot jock. She smashed the glass canvas panel ceiling. Athena. They mention the Tubies have only fighting names. They don't have real names.
Yeah, they do make a point of that on the broadcast.
She's not Aunt Jolene.
No.
No. She's no one's aunt, I don't think, either.
The Greek mythology names are, I don't know, government mandated stage names for the fighters.
But they were the only two that had Greek mythology names, right?
Alexander is Alexander the Great.
Oh.
And I think the first...
There was
like,
Ajax, was the first one.
Was that the first one? Okay,
I think so.
Something like that, but yeah.
And Achilles, Athena. No, the first one was Hercules.
Hercules,
Ajax
that's right.
was the other Tubi.
Right. And then you've got like all other well-known from Greek mythology, like Tex Conway.
Tex Conway, who slew
Matsumoto.
Medusa. Yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, what a delightful, strange film, full of wonderful choices. Do you have any closing thoughts on Robot Jox?
Crash and Burn.
Surprisingly strong music.
Oh, yes.
Like,
Yeah.
for what this movie... I mean, honestly, there are a lot of production things that are actually good for the time.
Yeah.
Really good for the time.
For the money, especially.
It's just the production, like we talked about, dialogue quality that really suffered.
Yeah. You get the idea that Stuart Gordon was far more interested in the world than the characters, which I think is appropriate.
For an
this
85-minute film about fighting robots, I think is fair.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. This is probably kind of hard to find, right?
This is nigh impossible to find. You can buy the Blu-ray on Amazon.
Okay, that's good.
Speaking of which, looks great on Blu-ray. You can see every little fault. when Achilles hot wires the punch hand, and you can see all 4 wires moving it.
I didn't notice that. I was lost in the moment at that point.
In my 4th rewatch, I noticed it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's quite a bit of mileage to get out of that for sure. Yeah.
Blu-ray also allows you to see the shadow of Achilles' dick in that tight little jumpsuit he's
The
wearing.
Shadow of Achilles' Dick is the best metal album name I've ever heard in my life.
I thought it was the colon to the Crash and Burn. Crash and Burn, the shadow of Achilles' dick.
That's the third in the trilogy.
Of course.
Definitely worth seeking out, though. Definitely, if you have the means, if you want to watch just a delightful film.
If you've got 20
Robot
extra
Jox.
bucks,
Yeah.
watch this movie.
And 85 minutes? Is that what it is?
85 minutes.
85 minutes? Who doesn't have that?
In the time that it takes you to watch Avengers Endgame, you can and should watch Robot Jox twice.
It's fair.
Well, great. Well, that concludes our conversation on Robot Jox.
Crash and Burn.
I'll be thinking about this for weeks to come, I'm sure. If you want to reach out to us at all, talk to us about Robot Jox or anything, you talk to us about anything. I'll talk to you. You can email us at rewatchersonthepod@gmail.com or reach out to us on Twitter or Instagram on @rewatcherspod. Next week, we will have our special guest, Gwen Hammer, who, has anyone met her? Does anyone know? I don't know. We'll see what it's like.
I think she lives close by me.
Yeah, it's Justin's wife. Anyways, we're going to talk about...
right?
We're going to talk about Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049. We're just going to talk about both of them.
That's a lot of movie.
Dive in. It is a lot of movie. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited to dive in. But yeah, so we'll be watching that next week. And we're going to take a quick break and then be back for some recommendations. See you later. Welcome back for recommendations, where we talk about just some of the other stuff we've been watching, stuff that we recommend, maybe stuff that we don't recommend, but we're going to talk about it. Tyler, why don't you start us off this week? What did you have for us?
I got a couple things. I am continuing The Mandalorian. It's getting worse with each episode for me.
Okay.
The last episode was really bad.
Yeah, I didn't like this one at all.
First one started out strong, and then it just keeps getting worse and worse. So
I feel the exact opposite.
man.
I'm going to watch it forever. I don't care.
I'm not. I'm not going to watch it, but I thought that the first couple episodes were kind of a slog and proportional to the amount of Baby Yoda. I enjoy each one more.
yeah, I feel like they can only ride that for so long.
Yeah,
like,
well, this season's going to be, what, 10 episodes?
8.
Oh,
they're already halfway
all
through,
the better.
and nothing has fucking happened. Like, the first 2 episodes are the things that, like, even just the first episode was really, first and third, I guess, but, like, since they're only a half hour, that makes it feel like that was only one episode worth of content spent over 4 episodes.
Did I watch a little green dude make cute faces, though?
What?
Did I watch a little green dude make cute faces?
Oh yes. I mean, that is always time well spent. But yeah, I don't know. I just
I've got 6 YouTube channels that you can do that for much longer, I'm sure.
Send me a link.
Yeah, I'll get you.
Was the implication in this last episode that the story that was told took place over like weeks or even months?
Yeah, weeks. I think was.
Okay, yeah, that's
what
what
It was a
that's what I thought.
fortnight. At least.
It. I don't want this. I don't want this to go episodic. Like it'd be very serialized. I mean, we're like they already have like Rebels, Clone Wars. I think a new one called The Resistance. It's like this weird 2D, 3D.
Okay,
hybrid.
but those are cartoons for babies.
That's what this episode felt like, though. Like,
But it's got a puppets in it instead. I'm a grown ass man. I can watch a puppet. I will not watch a cartoon.
I mean, my arguments are invalid.
You're in the wrong house. You're in your own home.
Yeah, it sucks. Anyway, but something that doesn't suck is I finally got to see Jojo Rabbit.
Sweet.
And yeah, delightful movie. It wasn't quite as good as I wanted it to be. This movie doesn't do anything super interesting or unique, I guess, or mind-blowing with its like structure or its the way its narrative flows along. But it's not bad by any means. It's just nothing standout in my opinion. But where this movie does stand out is its characters and how its characters develop and how it is so seamless and it's never in your face and it slowly does build. You're growing with these characters along the way, and everyone is so strong. Everyone's performance is really good. It's really funny. Just it has everything working for it. If you haven't seen Jojo Rabbit yet, go see it.
Yeah, it's really good. I think the like one of the strongest things for me about that movie is the way that the main character's journey happens, and it kind of like just straps you in and lets you ride that. And it's really really delightful.
That movie's got one of my favorite things where there's a comic relief character who just has a New Zealand accent.
Yes, absolutely.
Everyone else, like, I was expecting them to do like the period drama thing where everyone speaks in a British accent no matter where they are, but they don't do that. But there's this one kid who's got the New Zealand accent because it's just funnier that way.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's
And
a
he's
great
probably
point.
got some of the most quotable lines in that whole
I love
movie.
that kid.
Yeah,
That,
he's
I
really
mean,
good.
it was like, I guess I'm just a fat kid. A kid trapped in a fat kid's body.
So good. Oh yeah, that movie's great. Soren, what did you have for us?
I already mentioned Fortress, which is the private prison industry critique from the makers of Robot Jox about Christopher Lambert trying to break out of a 30-story underground prison run by Red Foreman, the sex robot.
Right. Which, man, if I could think of like 4 words that sell me on a movie, Red Foreman sex robot is up there. Like that's
So there's that. Coming out on Blu-ray in 2 days as we record this. So beginning of December is my favorite film of the year that no one saw, Ready or Not.
oh yeah, I saw Ready or Not. Yeah.
Ready or Not is a horror movie, perfect film, critique on capitalism, very funny, quick in and out, succinct, real ride of a movie, and it just makes me smile to watch it, and I want everyone in the world to partake.
Yeah. Like tonally, one of the best movies I've seen of the year.
Absolutely.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. There are some character moments in that too that I've been thinking about since I saw it. And yeah,
It's just so fun. It's really fun, but also contains just some awful shit that you don't want to look at.
yes. Yes.
And it just goes back and forth between the two so seamlessly.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Awesome. Nick, what did you have for us? What did you want to recommend?
I got 2 things. My first I always recommend to people is the show on Netflix called Dark. And Netflix got inundated with all this international material, and one of these is a German program called Dark. And if you watch it with the dubbing, you're going to hate yourself. Don't do that. Watch it with the
Okay, I
subtitles.
started it with the dubbing, and I was like, I can't do this.
That's the thing. I've heard a lot of people say that. But if you watch it with the subtitles, the thing that's intriguing to me is a lot of times I watch a show and I'm like, I'm going to figure out this plot. I got this. I know what's going on. When he climbed up the arm on the robot in the movie, I was like, nailed it.
Yeah.
But no, he didn't do that. Dark has that vibe of I can't guess it, but I'm intrigued the whole time. And they set it up with the relationships are half of the mystery of the show.
Cool.
Which sounds like that's going to be boring, but anyway, it has a sci-fi twist about halfway through the first season. Second season leans in even harder on it. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Dark is amazing. Go watch that on Netflix.
Yeah, I really need to try that again. I bounced off of it. I think I watched the first 3 or 4 episodes, I think, and it felt like Stranger Things to me. Like that was basically what I got out of it. But
With the
I
dub,
keep
it's
hearing,
a little bit more Degrassi, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Hearing teens talk about it and be emotional with an American dialect, you're like bored, so bored. But if you're just reading the text, you're kind of like, okay, cool. There's some drama going on. Got it.
Yeah, I need to get back into it because I keep hearing recommendations for it.
Oh, and it's gonna be only 3 seasons on top of it. That's probably my favorite thing. Is they're like,
Wow.
it's
Yes.
one. This is it. This is our story.
Oh, it's the 85-minute movie of
Yes.
of
Exactly.
TV shows.
Yeah.
Would you say it's the Robot Jox of TV shows?
I wouldn't go that far. Robot Jox is a piece of fried gold. I can't. The second thing I'd recommend is, of course, that Mecha Disney Plus is just streaming into all our homes now.
Yeah.
And the one thing I found on there that I thought it was going to be stupid or just for babies was the Mickey Mouse cartoon. It started in 2012, and I was like, I'm just going to put one of these on. And man, I'm just skipped to the halfway through the season, and I'm watching Mickey Mouse pour Slurpee down his pants, and Donald Duck sitting in a tub of ice cream, and Goofy jamming like popsicles up in his shoes just to try and cool down. And I'm like, what? The things that have come out of my mouth and other people I show this episode to, because what's great is they're 3 minutes. They're like the old classic Mickey Mouse cartoons. And so I'm like, it's like Ren and Stimpy. It's always sunny in Philadelphia. Like, it is just so whip fast and hilarious. I laugh out loud every single one I watch.
I watched one of those with where they're trying to get Goofy a date with a waitress.
Oh, man.
It's horrifying.
That's the thing. They get gross and weird, and Goofy is a nightmare human. Like, you do not want to hang out with Goofy. Potato Land is a golden
I mean, to be
episode.
fair, he is a dog. I mean, what better
There's
human
an
could a dog be
episode
than a
where
nightmare?
Pluto gets injured and he has to step up and
No.
go to the dog show.
No.
And he takes off all of his clothes, and so he's just this black monstrosity crawling around. And
Is
it's
I
this like
can't
Disney
believe this
Plus
is
Adult
real.
Swim? Like, what
dude,
the
it's
fuck?
not. That's the thing. It's still for kids. It's just super weird.
This one that I watched, Goofy says something like, "Well, I'm a good-looking guy, right?" And it does one of those SpongeBob close-ups
Does a lot of that too.
on Goofy's
Oh,
face,
no.
and he's got like pustules,
Oh my
lumps. It's
Anyway.
awful.
That's definitely. I show it to people. If
I
they
know what
come
I'm doing
over.
this
I'm like,
week.
You got 3 minutes? Boom! Check it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I get another plug-in real fast?
Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot before, but I have a moral obligation to share with everyone. Is the Amazon original series Patriot?
Oh yes,
Which Tyler
I
can
watched
tell
on
you a
your
little bit about.
recommendation. Yeah, and I loved.
Patriot is a short live-action TV series, meditation comedy drama about the human impact of American foreign policy, mental illness, and folk music. So watch it, I command.
Yeah, so just watch the first episode. Like had me hooked in a way that shows don't normally, and it was it's really wonderful.
It's that song about his assassination mission in Israel.
Yes,
right?
yes, absolutely.
Is like one of the devices this show uses is the main character is a State Department secret agent with PTSD from an operation he did doing a failed assassination in Israel, and he throughout the show describes the events of his past and the plot in the form of folk songs at an open mic night. That's how they do all their like exposition and emotional development, is through these really heartfelt but very funny acoustic songs that he sings.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful.
Yeah, and some of the like blackest humor about
Absolutely.
It's just it's delightful. A great show. But yeah, Justin, what did you have for recommendations this week?
So I finally got around to watching Free Solo, which is the Alex Honnold documentary about his ascent in Yosemite, where he soloed blanking on the wall. That I should.
El Capitan.
Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
It is now.
I feel terrible that I'm blanking on the name of the,
I
the
think
wall that he.
it's
he
Mac OS
climbed.
Yosemite.
Right. Version 10.3.4. Yeah, anyways, Free Solo 20 I think came out 2018, which was shortly after he did this. If you don't know, like, so I know a little bit about what went into this. Like I've done a little bit of climbing. Like I'm by no means a climber, though I wouldn't call myself that. And like just having the slightest bit of like insight or like knowledge into what this was, like this might be the greatest human physical achievement I think has ever happened. Like that's kind of the impression that I got from watching this movie. And the really cool thing about the documentary is the filmmakers who are friends of Alex's, they spend a little bit of time talking about like what it was like for them, or the documentary is happening while he's kind of putting this all together and eventually does the ascent. But they talk about like what it's like to film somebody who is climbing without any safety gear, and like their responsibility in that situation, and like how they're trying to like handle like, well, what if he falls? How do we deal with this? Like, is the fact that we're even there going to make it so that he ends up falling? Like, there's just all this stuff about the filmmaking that goes into it, and whether or not it like this achievement deserves to be filmed in the first place, which I thought like that's really cool.
Yeah.
They kind of touch on like in the climbing community, a lot of the free soloers, like they just do it for themselves, and Alex is like kind of a little bit unique in the sense that he kind of welcomes like a camera to kind of showcase what he's able to do, because he's so confident. I mean, everybody's confident in what they're going to do, but he feels like this is something that people should know about. Yeah, it's a fantastic documentary in and of itself, and then just seeing this achievement occur is just incredible. If you're afraid of heights at all, it's gonna be a rough watch. Like my hands were sweaty the entire time. It's absolutely terrifying, but it's something that is just incredible to see.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely recommend it.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds intriguing. I like the elements of that where it is like almost a commentary on itself.
Yeah.
Like that's fascinating. This week I've been playing a lot of Death Stranding and Pokemon. I've been playing that new Pokemon game and really like it. And so because of that, I've just been watching Dan Anderson's recommendation from last week, which is Taskmaster, a British game show with a panel of comedians where Greg Davies just gets them to do ridiculous shit. And I have watched so much goddamn Taskmaster over the last week. Like it's a problem, probably. But holy shit, it's really fun. If you're looking for something kind of thrown on the background, and then after a while it will not be in the background, you will stop what you're doing and probably go and just watch it. It's a really, really fun show, and it's really ridiculous. And yeah, season 7 has James Acaster in it, who's probably like one of my favorite British comedians right now. But yeah, check out Taskmaster. There's some great clips on YouTube you can find. But definitely just a delightful show, and I'm both blessing and cursing Dan's name with every new episode I watch. But yeah, I'll hopefully like shake this monkey off my back this week and watch something else. But yeah, until then, any other final recommendations from anyone here?
It was El Capitan, by the way.
Oh, El Capitan.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
That's OSL Capitan.
Great. All right. Well, then until next week, signing off. This is me, Tyler Harris, with
Tyler McKinley.
Justin Hammer.
and our special guest, Søren Budge.
Crash and burn.
And Nick Grossaint.
See you later, gang.
Thanks so much for coming, guys. And catch you next time. Remember, we can live. And we must, I guess.
Robot Jox.
Ready.